Now, private labels are becoming an important lever of growth for fashion e-commerce platform Myntra, and amongst those, private labels by Bollywood celebrities are seeing great traction amongst India's fashion-conscious youth. Now, drawing on his Pataudi lineage, Bollywood actor Saif Ali Khan is launching the House of Pataudi collection on Myntra. And to take us through this partnership, we have the actor himself and Mr. Ananth Narayan, the CEO of Myntra and Jabong, who will explain to us what this partnership means for the fashion e-commerce platform. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First up, tell us a little bit about this collaboration between House of Pataudi and Myntra. Take us through the final details of this collaboration. Tell us about the range, the pricing, the target audience, and a little bit about the financial contours of this agreement as well. So
that's a lot of questions.
Yes, absolutely.
So, well, let me tell you something to start with, which is that I've always had it on my mind actually to contribute something creative in terms of clothes. The thought behind it is to kind of, which fashion is to me in many ways, to kind of draw on the past, whether it's family history or generally an era gone by, in terms of taste and beauty, and make that modern, bring it into the today in terms of India, and make it very accessible to people. So it's kind of like a bridge, you know, between the past and the present. I was talking to my management Exceed, and I'm very excited to be working with Ananth on this because the distribution and the kind of access that one gets through companies like Jabong and Myntra are just phenomenal.
And just to build on that, Saif, right? I think from our standpoint, I think this works very well for two reasons. One is, if I just look at the market is enormous. Ethnic wear, Indian wear, is 70,000 crores in this country today, and it's still growing at 9%.
Is this the organized sector?
This is all of it.
Okay.
About 70% of it will be unorganized and 30% will be organized.
Okay.
The organized is growing at 30% year on year, right? And incidentally, men owns only 10% of that overall number. So as you look at Myntra and Jabong, what we find is there's a lot of searches for ethnic wear. Actually, you don't have that many collections. There are not that many branded players, right? So we saw a market opportunity. I think the second is quite important for us. We have launched a few partnerships, but they are genuinely partnerships. So what that means is with Exceed, with Saif, with us, we actually really sit down and say, how do we create a brand, right? We don't just say it's an endorsement or it's, you know, just putting a name to a brand.
Sure.
It's really, how do we get the right ethos? How do we actually get this right? And we believe with this partnership, over a 3-year period, we can create, you know, a number 1, number 2 ethnic brand in the entire country.
So tell us a little bit about the range and the pricing at which this range will be positioned, because Saif mentioned that you want to make this collection accessible.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So so if you look at it, we are doing both men and women. The women's collection is from 2,000 rupees to 20,000 rupees.
Okay.
The men is from 1,500 to 15,000. So you have the entire range. You have everyday wear, you have festive wear, you have wedding wear, and then we have a special set of collections which draws in the lineage, of Pataudi, right? So we have a full spectrum of what's available. Also, traditionally, it's been hard to do this at scale because, you know, sourcing is subscale, etc., right? But given the Myntra background, given that it's going to be part of the Myntra fashion brands, we actually get all of the scale advantages as well. Right? So I think the combination of the two, we feel very excited.
Saif, how are you creatively participating in this process, right from, you know, the fabric selection or the designing of the garments, well, you know, marketing, curating?
If obviously you leave the expertise to the experts, but at the same time, you know, they're very open to inputs and they listen. There are different kinds of products here. There's stuff that, you know, is more for a wider market, and there's stuff that, you know, is more where my taste and my particular take on things would be more relevant, at which point they listen, and there are collections like that as well. So I'm very keen also, and we talk a lot, and we're constantly interacting about cuts and shapes and cloth, and because if I'm going to give, you know, my family name to it, then I would also like to guarantee a certain style to it, which is something that I would wear myself.
Right.
You know,
but are clothes and textiles of your personal interest? I mean, is this something that you're very closely looked at?
Absolutely, very much so. And also, it's the philosophy behind it. I mean, historically, people have come to this country and taken cloth away. And also, historically, you know, nice things have been coming in from abroad, and they've been expensive. And our local stuff has been, you know, not as expensive or not as respected to wear. And there's been other companies, and I would like to see this with this company that makes amazingly nice things now affordable, because it doesn't actually need to be that expensive.
Private label has been largely a 3-year-old business.
Yes.
But we've seen that you've been able to chase profitability on many of those fronts. Now, you just mentioned that within 3 years, you'd like to see the House of Pataudi becoming the #1 ethnic wear collection. So do we see this becoming a profitable venture sooner than later? Is there a timeline as far as that is concerned?
Yeah, so I mean, when we start a brand, I think we believe in investing in it. In the initial stages, therefore, we will invest around marketing, around telling the right story, around the right product. Actually, incidentally, since it is clothes that we're talking about, right? Quality and actually the product itself matters quite a bit. So we're spending a lot of time, effort, and investment in making sure that that actually comes out correctly. It's affordable, but at the right quality, and it's for the discerning Indian.
Could you give us a sense of the kind of investment that's going behind this, and also the financial contours between this partnership between House of Pataudi and Myntra, please?
So I don't want to comment on the financial contours. It is a partnership between Saif, us, and Exceed.
Okay.
And as I said, we're building it for the long term. If you think about the investments, we're making it in 3 or 4 big areas.
Okay.
There will be investments in actually getting the product right, which is around making sure that we, even if with small batch sizes in the beginning, we make sure that we get to the right quality. Even as we scale, we actually invest upfront to make sure that the product quality is good. So that's one kind of investment. Second is we're going to be investing a lot in marketing to make sure that we can tell the story. And in the new world, in the digital world, how do we actually get the right content that is actually, 10 second, 20 second, 30 second, it's bite-sized, but yet gives the content story and conveys the sense of heritage and modernity to our customers. So we're investing a lot in that, and you'll see a lot of that as we actually launch this. The third area of investment is actually around distribution. So we want to make sure that overall, from a packaging standpoint, from how it's actually presented, we want to make this feel special and feel different, right? So all 3 are areas of investments for us. And to your prior question, I also want to just add to what Saif said, right? I think there is a design sensibility and an ethos. In the digital world, we also have lots of consumer data. We know what price points sell. We know where is the gap, right? So we want to combine data with a design sensibility to create something special, right? And that's, I think, a little bit of the magic. That's why, incidentally, private brands in Myntra is doing so well. It's about 27% of our overall portfolio now and continuing to grow.
Right. Saif, right now this collection features ethnic menswear and women's wear. How do we see this portfolio expanding along the way? Do we see children's wear coming in as well?
Sure,
what
why
will it
not?
look like?
I mean, I don't see, I see us growing into other departments as well, maybe
home.
But is there a concrete
homeware.
plan on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're starting, I mean, we don't want to be, I'm sure we're ambitious, but we want to just start somewhere.
Okay.
And start with what we understand and know. As a natural extension, I see it as being a lifestyle store. Why not?
There were some news reports about, Ranbir Kapoor, in fact, endorsing or becoming the face of House of Pataudi. Is there any truth to that?
Well, he's not a Pataudi yet. He's not a Pataudi. He's never going to be a Pataudi. So, I mean, we'd be very lucky to, have him endorsed. But no, there's no.
But you
such
already
truth
have
in that.
Temur if you ever intend to launch the children's collection.
Yes, exactly. We have him. Yeah.
Lovely in-house resources, I must say.
We have a few in-house resources.
Absolutely. Okay. Ananth and Saif, this question is for both of you. What are your expectations from this partnership from a 3-year point of view?
Yeah.
And also, you talked a lot about your marketing strategy and the investments that will heavily follow in this area. Can you specifically explain the push for content on television and across digital?
What would be success is in 3 years if we can build this into a 300 crore plus brand, right? If it can be more than a 1.5%, and long term, if this can be 1% of Myntra, right? Which is obviously more than the 300 crores, but long term, if we can get there, that's one measure of success.
Right.
I think this is between Saif, between Exceed and Myntra, and continuing to grow that, work that. There will be things that work, things that don't work. How do we use data? How do we use design insights? How do we use marketing? How do we bring that all together and make it successful? So I want the partnership to be successful. In terms of marketing investments, I think a lot of investments will be on the app in terms of visibility that we give. As you know, we have done stuff around Myntra TV and content. We have a partnership with Zoom, we have a partnership with IFA. So we use all of these assets to say, how do we actually promote the House of Pataudi well? We also have regularly at Myntra ethnic days, which is really around Indian wear and just celebrating Indian wear. And really getting House of Pataudi featured there will be a great way for us actually to make sure that the brand, we have 30 million plus monthly active users, right? So how do we make sure that those guys all see it is going to be important.
So currently the House of Pataudi is going to be launched online.
Yes.
However, we do know that Myntra has a very strong push towards offline sales, because you are becoming what is essentially called an omni-channel fashion platform. So can we expect the same as far as House of Pataudi is concerned as well?
Yes, why not? I mean, at the appropriate time, I think, like Saif said, I think there are category extensions that can be done.
Okay.
There are certainly omni-channel extensions. By the way, given the nature of the category, this will fit itself well, because I think touch and feel will play a big role, as well as size and fit. So why not? I think it has to come at the appropriate time.
Okay.
And potentially global as well, right? I mean, there may be opportunities to take this everywhere. And to your point of Indian products going global.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right, because you've also, I mean, there are plans to take All About You by Deepika as well to Canadian markets under your Walmart deal. And I was in fact going to address that. So are there any overseas markets where you do see this collection in fact going sooner than later?
Again, I don't want to repeat it, but I'm saying we shouldn't get too much ahead of ourselves. I think what I want to do now is basically launch this and launch this well.
Okay.
Make sure that the quality is right, make sure we are off to a great launch, make sure that our customers love the product.
Okay.
Because once that happens, there's no end to what we can do.
All right. And we're in conversation with Bollywood actors Saif Ali Khan and Ananth Narayan of Myntra Jabong. So welcome back to the show. We spoke a little bit about your offline push at Myntra as well. We understand that about 100 new stores are likely to come up over the next 2 years. So there's great emphasis being laid out there. Can you give us a sense of what's happening behind the scenes as far as the other brands are concerned? We understand HRX by Hrithik Roshan, Roadster, Mango. We're expecting to see a lot more action offline.
So today, we have, through franchisees, a set of stores, both for Mango and for Roadster. We are planning stores for HRX. These are all mono-brand stores that we want to continue to scale.
Right.
And we believe that what it does is it makes the brand real.
Okay.
For the customer, one of the interesting things is when you start a store offline, right? Or a franchisee starts a store offline.
And especially one that is relevant digitally already.
Correct. What happens is the online sales go up, because people come and see the store and it becomes real for them, right? And it becomes almost like a standalone marketing investment, because essentially the store is always there. We've also tried to do a bunch of things to tech enable the franchisee stores that we have, right? So, 30-second checkout. We have, actually computer vision now, where we actually can say what are the dead spots in a store, how are customers viewing through the store.
Is this all AI enabled?
AI is now used
very loosely, I understand.
On everything. So there are elements of machine learning, especially around what we do with computer vision.
Okay.
So I think to that extent, it's true.
Okay.
But really what we're trying to do is to take a consumer journey in a store, and how do we actually say we can use technology to modernize it and make it better.
Sure.
Right? In our franchisee stores.
But Ananth, just a quick question here.
Yeah.
Under your partnership, now that you've been taken over by Walmart, how is Walmart driving the organization differently? Is there greater emphasis on profitability and sustainability? Any consolidation that we can really expect to see?
Not really. I think, look, Walmart is a long-term investor in us. I think it's one of the best things that's happened to us, because it provides the Flipkart group long-term capital.
Okay.
And it allows us to actually compete and create in this market something very special, right? And I think e-commerce is here to stay, and it's an industry at the very beginning, right? All of this hype, I think in 20 years, e-commerce will still be growing. So I feel like this is the very beginning.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything that Walmart is driving particularly. My sense is with the Walmart partnership and investment, hopefully there's a lot of acceleration to be had, whether we can learn something from them in terms of omni-channel technology, or whether we can think about global opportunities for some of our private brands. I think those are all up in the air and open.
Right. So, changing tracks now, let's talk a little bit about Bollywood as well. So, Saif, your film Bazaar is slated for release on the 26th of October. Tell us a little bit about how did you look at the whole characterization of, Shakun Kothari? How did you get into the skin of the character? What preparation did it entail?
Well, I think we looked at lots of photographs and business magazines and kind of formed an amalgam of kind of various business personalities in the country.
Did you look at our anchors as well?
Well, yes. I mean, we can't help but notice your anchors, of course. But I'm talking some of the masters of the universe here. This is a Bollywood movie that's obviously going to be larger than life.
Absolutely.
So, hairstyles and the way people talk, but also there's a shift, in nationalism, and I think films will kind of reflect that. So, he's a Gujarati businessman, and the last time I played that, it was a bit of a caricature, but this time we try and make it as real as possible. It's a huge industry, and, we've never seen a film on it, so I'm very excited. It's not just about the stock market, it's just about money and what it means to different people, what it means to strugglers, what it means to rich people. And there's a lot of drama to it as well. So I'm excited about it, and I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. I think it's one of the best jobs I've done. Especially my Gujarati accent, I'm very proud of.
Yeah, the last time we saw you flaunting that was in that film, what is that? J-E-O, J-J-U.
Yes, exactly. That was so many years ago, and that was more comedy, you know.
Absolutely. In this film, you're quoted as telling your accomplice that there are 2 rules to the game.
Yes.
One is that you don't lose my money, and rule number 2 is that you always remember rule number 1.
Yes.
So I'm very curious to understand.
I think you forgot rule number 2. Rule number 1 and rule number 2. Okay, rule number 2 is rule number 1.
What is your personal mantra as far as money is concerned? What do you like investing in? What is
Well,
it
you know,
like?
I think I'm a little old school in the sense that I've invested perhaps a little too much in property, you know, and now that I'm talking to people more, I'm told that I should be more in the markets. But I like to keep it safe. I have a very conservative way of approaching the figure that I want to live on after tax, when I'm not working. I need an income, you know, because actors, I think, like sportsmen, sometimes, hopefully you have a long career, but you never know. You know, it's not a stable job in that sense. That's the way I've been brought up to think. So I'm invested in property. I'm invested in something that beats inflation and gives me a return a month, you know. But now I'm thinking maybe it's a little imbalanced and I should be more in the markets. Certainly there's more trust in some of these instruments than there was when I was a kid. You know, so
it is a new
insurance,
phenomenon.
for example,
Yeah, absolutely,
you know, has been a fabulous thing for me to invest in. It's
so what are the
worked out
3
well.
things that you tell your money managers very often?
Don't lose my money. Don't take any risk. And tell me how much I have to give you in order for you to give me this sustained amount tax-free. I'll work hard. This is my time. I'll do, I'll do double shift, whatever. I want to get to that place where I feel secure.
Absolutely, Saif. But I'm just curious, you know, a lot of Bollywood actors are investing very heavily in sports franchises. They're investing in education businesses, and they're really expanding their portfolio.
We tried to invest in a sports franchise, but they changed the rules last minute. This country is amazing at, we're not big enough. The billionaires make the rules, I think.
Okay, but any areas where you would personally like to invest in, is there an area of focus for you?
Well, yes, the area is film, and I mean, I think one should get into things one understands properly. Sometimes you think that it would be great and quite easy to run a restaurant, but it's really not, you know, I'm assuming. It's not easy to make a film. A lot of people say, okay, I want to make a movie. So you extend things, that you can. It's nice to monetize various aspects, and I think House of Pataudi is a really good way to go because it's a natural fit. These guys obviously, as know what they're doing, and I think I have something to contribute in that beyond a name. There's, I dress like this, so I understand, and I think a lot of people are doing it in India in terms of making really nice things accessible, tasteful things. I mean, I don't know, can we name other brands like, like a Good Earth, for example? I mean, the kind of things that are happening there, you know,
sure.
and the turnaround in like Fab India.
India.
Like earlier, I wouldn't shop there, but now I get amazing stuff. I wouldn't mind my whole house done up like that, So that's where we want to be. At least is how I look at it. So film production, who knows? But natural extensions. Natural extensions. So this is one of them.
You're not willing to put your money on something that you haven't ever explored earlier?
No, of course. I mean, we're invested in the stock market. We're invested in various vehicles that I don't completely understand every detail of. But you have chartered accountants, and you have, you're hoping a blue chip company won't let you down.
No, I asked because, for example, like Shah Rukh Khan is invested in Kidzania, which is an education entertainment company. And years ago, when he had invested, the market was so raw that nobody ever thought that Kidzania as a platform would be that big. But it just boomed.
But Shah Rukh Khan is that unique entity, or who is apart from being pioneer and a great movie star, is one of the sharpest business minds I think that we've had in the industry. And he's constantly thinking about these things. I'm usually reading a book and wondering how to take it easy.
Okay, Saif, you're one of the early actors to have leveraged OTT platforms. Sacred Games is a huge success. What kind of opportunities is this throwing up for Bollywood actors today, for performance characters?
It's that medium is creating opportunities for actors internationally. There are actors that you haven't seen in a long time, who a lot of actors from the 80s and stuff, who are stars. Suddenly you're seeing them again, and there's so much opportunity, which is great. First of all, I can't take credit for leveraging anything. It was them coming here and looking at doing something at this market. And this lovely book that Vikram Chandra wrote, and the material was so well written, and lovely actors, and the whole thing was a wonderful opportunity to compete at an international level. The guys who reviewed that don't normally review Bollywood movies. We've kind of put Indian technicians and actors on the map, because a lot of otherwise international people say, okay, great, Bollywood's fantastic, but it's a bit much, it's a bit loud, and there's too many songs or whatever. This is a chance to kind of perform on the same playing field.
But what are the biggest challenges to creating content like that and to be part of this? Because essentially when I spoke to a couple of them in the past, they said that India is traditionally a 3-hour movie watching industry, and to create an 8-episode plot, one which has a definitive plot graph at the end of each, one which leaves you with a little cathartic effect, so to speak, it is a huge challenge. Would you agree with that?
No, it's just you got to change your thinking. I don't know, people just box themselves and then they get worried why they're in a box. I mean, look at the Mahabharata. That's not going to, I mean, it's just made to be made as a web series, over 9 hours. The story of the Mughals, the story of the East India Company, the story of, some politician, I don't know, there's sagas that are waiting to be told. And you have to understand the medium is different. So films traditionally, ideally, should be made for a big screen. So they should be shot that way. Ideally, you have a horse on the left and a castle on the right, and, you're watching this experience. And this platform is a more personal thing. People negotiate about which TV show they want to watch. They argue with their family. Somebody's cooking, and TV is on. But this is a very, focused personal experience where you can really develop a character and like make a show like Black Sails, for example, like a prequel to Treasure Island when Long John Silver had 2 legs, and actors get a chance to really act. And that's how I see my career. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like Johnny Depp, by which I mean I want to be a saleable actor who does offbeat stuff. And now I want to be like Tom Hardy, okay, or also like Anil Kapoor and Amitabh Bachchan in terms of longevity. But in terms of choices, I'd like to do a web show, which is great. Quality obviously matters, how it's written, who it's for. I'd like to be a villain of a movie. I'd like to be the hero of a movie. I'd like to do anything that turns me on as an actor.
Are you seeing enough quality scripts coming your way?
Quality of films is certainly becoming very interesting, and I'm enjoying it more than ever. I'm enjoying it more than traditionally I was doing bigger hits for more money, let's say. I'm enjoying it more now.
Is Sacred 2 on the games, on the cards as well?
One of the most wonderful things about them is that they don't like me talking about it. They just really don't. They said, we don't need the publicity. Please don't talk about it, and we'll tell you when to talk about it. And, they don't want to talk about it right now.
Saif, this is also a rather poignant moment in Bollywood, a rather watershed moment with stories of sexual misconduct coming to the surface. We've seen young actors talking about this, young female actors. I want to get a sense from you as an industry veteran, how do you view this Me Too conversation and the whole movement that's come about? And how can Bollywood really create an environment which is more empowering for its female artists?
Well, I tell you, I think this is a start. First of all, you have to say the main thing, which is that you have to have a safe environment for women and for everybody, but ideally for young women. I mean, there's something about this setup. Over time, it's, even my thoughts are changing and filtering. Obviously, the first reaction is it's terrible, it's disgusting, it has to stop, number one. But number two, it's kind of built for it, isn't it? You have a pretty young girl coming in and meeting like a, maybe some kind of pervert in a closed room, and I don't know what's going to happen. So the mindset has to change also. There has to be, I think it's been a system that we have to look at for a long time. I think if you talk to actresses from the 70s, and the 60s, they'll also tell you, but they probably won't because they're settled in their lives now. They might tell you that it's been a patriarchal system and that has been catering to a certain attitude for a very long time. And we've got issues in this country with things like that. We're schizophrenic in many ways. There's progress in some ways, there's medieval attitudes in other ways. I think Bollywood is trying to clean its house. I'm sensing that it is. And I'd like to see other departments also. I mean, I hope we don't think that this is just limited to these people. I mean, I'm sure there are people in the media, I'm sure there are people in politics.
Oh yes, there are. I mean,
so we need to see, let's follow through completely. Let's not be happy with, frying a couple of small fry.
Absolutely.
I want to see, if you're going to do it, then please let's not chicken out halfway through, is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, Saif. Thank you, Ananth, for joining us on this episode of Young Turks.